Hey everyone, so today we're going to make these cute and easy bangle bracelets. So let's get started. These are the materials you'll need in order to complete the bangle bracelet. So I'm starting off with about 1 ounce of each part A and part B of my epoxy resin. And I'm just going to start off with the hardener first, scraping out the sides and the bottom into this container. And then I am going to wipe off my stir stick in between just so I don't contaminate the next container. And we're just going to do the same exact thing, scraping the sides and the bottom. Now this epoxy resin does call for a double cup stirring, but I do find that as long as I scrape the sides and the bottom as I'm mixing the resin and the hardener together, that I only need 1 cup. So you're just going to stir very, very slowly, and this is the part where you need most patience. You don't want those micro bubbles, so it does take a little bit of time, but what you're looking for is once you start to stir, it goes from a cloudy so that you cannot see through it to a transparent so it becomes very, very clear. You do not want any streaks of any kind, so no opaque lines, and then once you see that it is completely clear, your resin is ready to be poured. Now I'm going to take some of these sprinkles, and I picked them up at, I believe it was Joann's, which is a local craft store, and I'm just going to mix this up, creating a thick, almost paste material. So you're going to add in just a little bit at a time just to make sure that you don't get it too thick, or else you're not going to be able to put it inside of your mold. So you're just going to slowly add everything in, and I even wanted to include a little bit of glitter because I love my glitter. So we're just going to mix that in and make sure that everything is nice and well stirred, so that way you don't have any gaps in your bangle bracelet. And now we're going to let it sit for approximately 5 minutes to get all those bubbles all the way up to the very, very top, and then we're going to use our lighter and pop any of the bubbles that we see, so that way we don't have them sitting inside of our bangle bracelet, which is never a fun thing. Alright, now here comes the tricky part. This, I believe, would be much better if you had some kind of dropper inside of here, but I'm using whatever tools I can do, so I'm just slightly pushing part of the mold down. This mold I did pick up at my local Michael's. I will leave a link down below to a similar one that I found. And we're just going to kind of put it in there and spread it around. And this part does take a little bit of time, but you want to be very patient and not rush it, or else you're going to make a big mess. You're going to take another section of the mold, and then you're going to do the same thing where you're going to kind of force it in there a little bit, scooping it out and then moving it around so that way it's nice and even. And we're going to do this a few times all the way around the whole entire mold. And even though you're trying to be as careful as possible, you are going to make just a little bit of a mess, but it's fine because it's silicone and very easily cleans up. I go ahead, and since we started to get our baseline down with pouring in the resin, I decided to go ahead and start pouring it in. Do this very slowly because it does tend to come out very quickly, and this mold is very finicky when you're filling it. It can all of a sudden fill up very fast and do a lot of over pour. So that's why I'm back to my stir stick, because now we're just kind of topping it off, and you're going to get a little bit that comes out of the top. That's fine because it can easily be scraped off with your stir stick, and then the excess can be wiped off with your baby wipe, and you're just going to clean off that top. We're going to wait a little bit, let the bubbles come to the surface, and then we're going to pop them. You're going to do this a couple of times, and now let it cure for a minimum of 24 hours. After that, it is time to get those muscles and start prying this sucker out. It does take a little bit of work, but it is so nice and pretty when it does come out. As you see, I don't even have to glaze it. It is beautiful, but it is a little bit sharp at the very top where the bubbles come to the surface. So we're just going to take this on over, and we're going to sand it down at the sink. So we're starting off with a 550 grit sandpaper, and we're just going to take the bangle bracelet and get rid of all the roughness that was at the edge at the top. So we're going to do circular motions and keep on checking it until it is all even and there's no more roughness. Once we feel that we've gotten enough of the sanding done, we're going to then move on to the next one, which is 1200 grit sandpaper. and this will kind of buff it out and make it so that it's very smooth and doesn't have any sharp edges or lines inside of it. And we're even going to bend the sandpaper just to get inside so that that's not sharp either. Once this is done, it's going to dull it out. So we're going to use Duraclear. This is my favorite, and we're just going to use a little bit and paint that edge up so that way it is also nice and shiny too. So we're just gonna keep on doing that. It does take about 6 hours for this to completely dry, but it is so worth it. This is such a great sealer, and it does beat having to glaze your piece all over, which does take a lot of time, and honestly, I am not the best at it yet. So this works perfectly. I love it. And that is basically it for your Bangle bracelet. So these were fun and easy, and I hope that you enjoy and you'll try it out yourself. Thanks. Bye.